All right, chapter 10, a warm welcome. Bilbo and the company, they make it to Lake Town. The dwarves all survive their harrowing journey through the river. They have a warm welcome, as the chapter's name suggests, from the people in Lake Town, and they get some good help to make it to the mountain. Couple of interesting things that I noticed, some real world connections. It's been a long time since the dragon first came. It's been 171 years. Um, Presumably, he was still fairly active after that point. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably been about 60 years since he's last been seen, though. So some of the younger folk, they think he's a fairy tale. They think he doesn't exist. I think that's fascinating, and I think though a real world example of this kind of cultural forgetfulness, this forgetfulness of this massive disaster, is people who don't believe in the Holocaust. Familiar with World War II history at all and what happened with the Jews. There are people who doubt that happened as well. And I think there's a very interesting parallel between that and these younger people in Lake Town doubting that smog even exists. It's also interesting that Holocaust, the actual meaning of the word, means destruction or slaughter on a mass scale, especially caused by fire. Sounds like an awful lot like a dragon to me. What's even more interesting is that The Hobbit was written before World War II, before the Holocaust really happened. So I think Tolkien is keyed in on this idea that there are some events that are so awful that culturally there will be people who try to forget that. But if you forget about a live dragon on your doorstep, that can be a bit dangerous. And I think that can be connected to real world history as well. So pay attention in history class, kids. Talked a little bit about fate and luck as we've been going through. Again, we meet the men. These are the first real humans that we've met. And of course, they sing a song. And it's actually a song of prophecy. It's a song foretelling the future. The king beneath the mountains, the king of carven stone, the lord of silver fountains shall come into his own. It's a very hopeful song. So I think we can see that men, humans, are hopeful people. His crown shall be upholden, his harp shall be restrung, his halls shall echo golden to songs of yore resung. The wood shall wave on mountains and grass beneath the sun. His wealth shall flow in fountains, and the rivers golden run. The stream shall run in gladness, lakes shall shine and burn. All sorrow fail in sadness. The mountain kings return. So a little bit more characterization of humans, very hopeful. Also, we see we've talked a lot about luck. We could also probably equate that with fate, how there is something bigger helping to guide the company, not just in the direction of their travel, how they've made it around obstacles that would have stopped them cold, which I talked about a little bit in the last video, but just all the danger that happens. And it does seem like there's something bigger, and there is something behind this prophecy. This prophecy does end up coming true. Maybe not so much in the way that the people in Lake Town expect or want, but it does come true. And we do see that there is fate at work. There is providence at work in Tolkien's work, which, go read the Silmarillion. You'll learn all about the creator, Iluvatar, who is definitely behind a lot of things that are happening in this. So interesting connection between fate and luck here. I also want to talk a little bit about the leadership that we've seen so far. Specifically, I want to talk about the Master of Lake Town, who doesn't even have a name, and Thorin. So the Master of Lake Town, he is a democratically elected leader, kind of based on the cultural values of Lake Town. They're very much into commerce and trade, and part of the reason why he was elected was because he's very good at those things. He's very good at accruing, gathering wealth. But he himself, I think, is not a very strong leader. He doubts the prophecy. He doubts that Thorin is who he says he is. but he kind of goes with the flow for now. He doesn't really uh, um, lead the people. He lets the people lead him. I think that is a sign of a weak leader if you're not willing to stand up for what you actually believe. Thorn, on the other hand, being more of a uh, monarch tradition, obviously, not having inherited his kingdom yet, but still being a leader of these dwarves, he is pretty strong as a leader, even though he's kind of delegated a lot to Bilbo at this point. But he still will stand up for what he believes in, even if, as you'll see later on, that's not always a good thing. So I think it's interesting. Tolkien was English, obviously. He was a fan of this whole idea of a monarch. Myself being American, not it doesn't always land quite as much for me because I have grown up in this democratic tradition. But I can still see his thoughts and views of leadership coming through, where the rightful king, the one who is meant to inherit, is almost inherently a better leader. So I think that's interesting. Some of Tolkien's maybe political views coming into effect in his writing. So next chapter we will see them get really close to the mountain. We're almost going to meet Smaug, getting closer to what you could call the climax of the story. Things are getting exciting. So we'll pick that up.